having my day job as well as creating courses and content during the weekends and in my own time at night.
So, what according to you would be the right way to learn DevOps, especially from a beginner's perspective when they don't have?
I was never able to really understand what what applications were running on the platforms that I was supporting. Excited and worried about AI at the same time. So for your viewers, Piyush, we're happy to give them, if they have never been on a platform before, we're happy to give them a free trial of a few months.
Hello, Mumshad. Welcome to my channel. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on your channel, Piyush. I really appreciate it. How are you?
No, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure hosting you on my podcast. I'm sure everyone will be finding this valuable. And I'm sure many of the questions that people ask me these days will be answered in this particular podcast by someone who's a professional, by someone who is founder of KodeKloud and who has been teaching clouds and DevOps to thousands and thousands of people every day through the various platforms, through various courses. So yeah, I guess we can start our discussion with the introduction. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi. So first of all, congratulations on all the growth you've had in your channel. I've been seeing some of the videos you've been recently creating. They're really high quality. So awesome job on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It means a lot coming this from you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So yeah, just to introduce myself, my name is Mumshad Mannambeth. I would call myself as a teacher. What I really enjoy is really breaking down complex concepts into simple, understandable bites. And I think maybe that's what I do best. So I would call myself foremost as an educator, a teacher of technology, and I'm also the founder of KodeKloud. Over the past 5 years, we've been building this platform, helping people learn technology, helping simplify complex concepts into simple hands-on labs, learn by doing concepts. So that's what we've been doing as a company for the past 5 years. But yeah, I'm originally from India. Spent some time. I've worked for a few years in the US. I currently live in Singapore. These days I've been here for about six years, so we're kind of based out of here. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's amazing. I'm sure that everyone who is watching this video or who is a DevOps aspirant or who is into DevOps would already be familiar with you and like everything that you do. But just for the sake of podcast, we had to do a quick introduction. Now, I also wanted to share a short story with you. So back in 2020, like 5 years back, I took few of your Udemy courses. Like I took Kubernetes for absolute beginners, and then CKA course, and then OpenShift for beginners. So these three courses, and because of that, I was able to start my Kubernetes journey 5 years back. Because of that, I was able to do my first Kubernetes certification and get into the role that I'm currently in Google. So thank you so much for all the knowledge and all the things that you do. And in fact, like I'm not just sharing this for the sake of sharing because you are here in the podcast. Let me in fact show you my screen. Okay, so if you can see that, here's the receipt from May 2020, and this is when I purchased the course, which is CK, and I can show you the name as well. Just give me a second. Over here, this is your course, and May 2021, and I completed this course as well. So most of the people just take the course and they do some part of it, and then it just be sitting in the Udemy subscription or wherever they did. I actually completed it. I gave the exam. I got myself certified.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations on completing the course and getting certified. And thanks for sharing the story, because I think that's the best part of my day, right? Like hearing stories like this, being able to make an impact in people's lives. I think that's, to me, is the most important thing and the best part of what I do that I enjoy the most. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm very humbled to hear how it has helped your journey.
Yep. Thank you. So why don't we start with our discussion? So how did your journey how was your journey like from being a tech professional to an educator, a teacher, and then finally a founder at KodeKloud? How was it?
So I was always really interested in, I guess, education, right? Like teaching and learning. I always believe that if I try to teach somebody, I learn more by myself, right? And this is something I used to do, like when I was very young. This was a hack I used to do to kind of push myself to learning in school. Sometimes I would just imagine that I'm explaining a concept to somebody, and then as I imagine how that person would, get back to me or ask me questions, I learn a lot more. So when I started working in my in the companies that I worked with, in my, I would say, early 20s, when I was in Bangalore, I worked for a number of companies like Wipro, HP, EMC, Dell. I did a lot of work in the storage, in the networking, sysadmin space, and at that time, what I would do is whenever we would kind of onboard a new product, I would volunteer to take trainings for others to educate them, to train them on this new product. So especially when there are like new joinees joining the team, I would take them to this training room and kind of use that as an opportunity to train them, and I would kind of volunteer for that. And when I did that, what I realized was, in order to be prepared for that training session, kind of that's a hack for me. Like now I have to train myself. I have to learn the basics by myself. I have to know I have to understand what their background is and like kind of teach it for them. So I would spend time preparing by myself, and then during the preparation, I would realize I don't have a number of basics. So I would go and learn those basics myself so I can teach them. So I use that as a technique to learn by myself, and I gained a lot of clarity in the different technologies that I worked with following this approach. So when I started, and then I moved to the US, I worked there for a couple of years. I guess that's when I was on Udemy, the platform that you shared, preparing myself for AWS certifications. And then that's when I thought, you know what, there are things that I am working on at that time. Like at that time, I was working on a project which involved Ansible, Docker, and a couple other tools. And I was like really impressed by how those tools could like make my day-to-day life easier. And I just felt like I had to, let others know. I had to teach this. So I did some internal trainings, and people really liked it. So when I was learning on Udemy, I thought, why not create my own course on Udemy? So I just gave it a shot. It didn't start off very well because prior to that, I had already tried creating some courses on Udemy. Like I had an Excel course, and I thought, why not? Like who wouldn't want to learn Excel, right? Like Excel formulas. So I created a course, put it out there. A lot of people took it, but nobody actually bought it. And then I realized like there's so many other Excel courses that existed at that time. So people were not like my course would not even show up because there was just the market was too much, right?
Yeah.
I mean the courses were too much. So then I thought, there was a couple of other things that I know, and that I was really excited about, and I think that was Ansible. So that's when I created a course on Ansible, put it out there. People really liked it, so I just and they just kept me asking for more, and then from there on, I just listened to what my students asked me, and then I would just create courses for my students, depending on whatever they asked. So it went from Ansible to then Docker to then some advanced courses in those areas, and then Kubernetes. And then people started asking for like certification course on Kubernetes. So we just kept following whatever everyone asked. So just with the support of the community over the past 4 or 5 years, we have just grown as a company.
That's so amazing, and this is so inspiring story. So you actually did a lot of trial and error, and you kept on doing the things that you love, which is teaching, right? Which is breaking down complex concepts into bite size, into more meaningful short summary concept with the help of analogies and all. And you did pivot from one course to another, from Excel to Docker to Kubernetes, and whatever keeps coming in your way, you kept bashing that. And you are one of those accidental founders. You actually did not envision this maybe in the beginning, but then you enjoyed, because you enjoyed the whole process. You started enjoying it, and you were not really thinking about how to succeed, or that I have to. Did you like imagine that I have to create my own company one day when you started it in the very beginning?
Yeah, no, never, not at all. Like, not in my wildest dreams, right? I mean, that's something I never really wanted to do in the first place. Like, as I guess any other kind of techie, I didn't want to get involved with all the complexities of building a company and all of that. So what I've been doing is so originally all I wanted to do was just do something that I really enjoy, which was content creation, course creation, and then maybe make some kind of impact with it, and also maybe make some passive income out of it, and then just be just continue to do that. But the thing was, it just got to a point where, and I did that for 2 years, right? So before actually starting quitting and registering a company and things like that, for 2 years, I actually spent time working with having my day job, as well as creating courses and content during the weekends and in my own time at night. And I didn't have, even like maybe a week, a month before I quit my job, I didn't have an idea that I was going to quit. I was like, this is a good thing, let's keep doing. But when it got to a point where like I had about 8 courses, and then things got so overwhelming that I just realized I just can't do it alone. And then I also realized that if I want at that time, I could like safely quit and do that full time. Then and that thought just I just made a decision in a week, and then I quit in a month, and in about a month we had to register the company and just started working on the company. And then since then, again, initially we were a very small team, just a few of us really working together. But then just the demand just kept coming in, like people started asking for more and more. And then we also had this idea. So I'm also an idea person. Like not so the course creation, the content creation, that's one part. But I also want to build things. Like I also really enjoy creating, right? Like building stuff. So the labs came as part of that, right? Kind of the urge to like build a new learning experience. So just going from videos, we started with videos, but then we realized that videos were not sufficient. Like people need hands-on experience. That's when we started building the labs. And then those combined into a stage where like I was like, okay, now we have to start hiring people who then needs to help me build these labs in a better way. And then for the past few years, it's just got me into this whole entrepreneur journey.
That's something that a lot of us try to do, starting a new venture, uh, or doing something that we love most of the times, because no one, like frankly speaking, no one loves their 9 to 5 job wherever they are working, doesn't matter, right? But at the same time, we have to do it consistently for over a period of time to understand whether this is something that we actually want or not, right? Like just you said, you spent at least 2 years creating multiple courses, and then getting good at it, getting perfecting the art of teaching and the content, and then you finally decided to register your company while leaving your job. So what do you think like has helped you a lot in that? Like, is it the consistency, or is it the love of making content, or is it something else? What was the main source of inspiration behind that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a mix of a number of different things, right? I think definitely the love of doing what you do. I think that's passion. I feel like passion is such a misunderstood kind of term these days. To me, passion is really so you're going to enjoy what you do. There are things that you enjoy. Like for me, it's content creation. I really enjoy that. But no matter how much you enjoy something, at some point you're going to kind of feel overwhelmed, and you're going to want to stop, and you're going to want to take a break, or you just feel like you want to stop. It's too much, right? Too much of doing the same thing. But if you're passionate about something, then even if you stop after a small break, a small period, a couple of days, you would want to get back into that. So to me, that's when you know that you're really passionate about something.
True.
Right. So to me, that's what content creation was, course creation was. Really enjoyed like learning something complex, breaking it down and explaining it simply, using a number of different kind of techniques that I had kind of gained over the years, right? Like for example, this could be creating animations or creating presentations or the video editing. All of those coming together. So so all of that combined with my love for content creation, I think that's probably one of the most important factor.
Yep.
The other is consistency. So because I'm passionate about it, even though I would take breaks from time to time, I would still want to get back into it. So so that kind of gave me a consistency. And I think most important of all is really the impact or the response from the community. So the courses that I created, people like really resonated with it. People like really supported me. They kind of kept coming back, asking me for more. And so I think that to me probably was one of the most important factors that just kept me going. So the more I see the response, the more requests that come in, I would now it's more like a purpose. I do have a purpose, and then I have a mission now. I have to go back and accomplish that. So I think it's a number of these things combined.
Yep, that's amazing. So, yeah, I totally agree with you on all the points that you have made. So nothing gives more pleasure to a content creator than getting a thank you message from a viewer, or when people say like I've got a job because of your videos or your content, I was able to clear the certification because of your content. So it's just the day couldn't have been started with a better note than this. Um, so I do have few other questions as well, and this is something that I have been asked a lot of times from my viewers and from my subscribers. So we can take it one by one. So what according to you would be the right way to learn DevOps, especially from a beginner's perspective when they don't have experience, when they are new, and when they are stuck in a tutorial help? What should be the right learning path for them?
Yeah, so I think with any technology, no matter what you're learning, I guess really having the base foundations is the most critical aspect of all, right? And this is something that we have a big focus on this year on our platform, going back to the basics, because we started with DevOps, like core like DevOps topics, but then realized that people who are coming to learn, sometimes the foundational knowledge are not there, like the basics of Linux, the basics of networking, basics of security. So this is something that we had been focusing on for the past couple of years, and we'll have a major focus this year. So just going back to the basics and learning, any kind of system administration, you pick the best one to go these days is Linux. So getting really good at Linux, getting really good at networking and security fundamentals. I think that's at least the very basics. That's very important. But then that is just one part. I think one of the kind of anti-patterns that I've seen people getting into learning technology is ultimately not understanding the whole dev side of things, the developer side of things, right? Because this whole infra side of things, the ops, DevOps, be it DevOps or any other ops that are associated with technology, I think they're there to support ultimately what's running on top of them, which is the applications, right? And which is then supporting the ultimate business or the end user. So me personally, coming from a very ops background early in the days, although I had a big love for like the dev side of things, but I started my career in the ops side of things. So I was never able to like really understand what what applications were running on the platforms that I was supporting, and ultimately what problems they're solving for the customer. So in the early days of my career, that actually was a big blocker for me in really understanding, because I worked with really large corporates where like you had like thousands of engineers, and I was just one person who was like very at the very bottom of probably a really big team of SREs and DevOps engineers or storage administrators, right? So it was very hard for me to like go through these different layers to ultimately understand what I'm doing, what I'm supporting at the end is what is that for, right? So I think that is another very important thing. Maybe starting from there, like starting from the understanding a little bit of business case, why what are being hosted on these systems that you're supporting, the applications themselves. I think that's super important. So I would say go back to learn a little bit basics of the whole dev side of things, right? So what are the different programming languages, Node.js, Python, or Next.js, or whatever that is, that's being used these days to build applications. And then based on that, how do we then learn a little bit about how these applications are then packaged and shipped. I think that's another important thing. So that way you'll understand all the CI/CD and pipelines and the need for that, right? So I think going back to understanding the whys behind everything that you learn, that is going to be super important. So I would say start learning a little bit of the dev side of things, understand what is that you're supporting, and then start to understand the whole sysops side of things. So learning the basics of Linux, and then moving to learn DevOps. So when you learn DevOps, now you'll be able to connect both of these worlds, the whole dev world and the ops world, and then that would be a very good, a very easy way to understand things.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing your views on that. Yeah, absolutely. That's a common misconception that people have these days, that if you are working in DevOps, you are going into DevOps because you don't have to code, which is not at all true. Like, even though the DevOps engineers are not application developers, so they will not be actually writing the application code, but they will have to understand the code, the logic, what application is doing, what are the, like you said, what are the steps that we perform end to end, from building to the application, packaging and everything. So before or without knowing the manual steps, we cannot automate the steps, right? So it's very important to understand all the fundamentals that you have mentioned, and how application works, different programming languages and so on. So Mumshad, I have this question that has been asked also a lot of time, that how do we keep up with all the emerging trends, specifically within the DevOps realm? Like, every day there is a new tool coming, every day there's a new process that's being introduced, and everyone start to learn that or onboard that. So how do we keep up with that?
Yeah. So yeah, this is also a question I get a lot, and I know that these days there's a lot of development happening at a much faster pace than ever before, and it's going to only increase going forward with AI and everything that's here to stay, right? So I think my first advice would be not to get overwhelmed with everything that's going on. That's the first step, because if you just stand back and look at all the things that are there, you're only going to get overwhelmed, and that's not a good place to be in. But at the same time, you also want to keep up with and keep on top of the new things that are happening. Now, what I would say is look at it by kind of the different high level categories of like where the technology is going, right? Like so there are new things that are happening in this whole sysops and sysadmin space. There are new things happening in the networking space. There's new things happening in this whole cloud native containers and Kubernetes space. There are different, kind of, if you look at, let's say, infrastructure as code tools, there's different tools available out there, like Ansible, Chef, Puppet, and all of that. And then there's also Terraform. And then there's, if you look at cloud native technologies, there are different solutions for containers, like Docker being, one of the popular ones. And then container orchestration tools, there are multiple available out there. And then if you look at this whole CNCF landscape, you're going to see a similar kind of sea of logos with so many different tools and technologies. So my first advice is not to look at it and kind of be overwhelmed, but at the same time, to stay on top of things, you want to learn the basics and understand at least one of these tools in these different areas. So my advice would be to learn at least like one one thing in all of these different areas. So if it was infrastructure as code, maybe pick Ansible, learn the basics of that. For containers, pick Docker. For container orchestration, pick Kubernetes. And you don't have to try to learn all of the different options available out there. But once you learn one of these, the same concepts, the same things would be applicable to many other. So this similar. This goes back to the same similar things that's happened in the whole dev space in the past like couple of decades or so. Originally, there was just like C, C++, Java, but then came all the like the new programming languages, and where people went like, there's so many things coming up, right? So there's Node.js, there's Next.js, there's all of these testing frameworks and things like that. But the thing with all of this is if you learn one, you'll have a basic idea. If you get build the foundational knowledge, fundamentals, then you can learn anything, right?
Yeah.
So it's very easy to adapt. I also want to share maybe like one of my personal stories when I was working maybe I guess 10 years ago. I was working in professional services where they would send me to these different projects every few months to different clients. And there were a lot of these products that we were supporting at our company. And I kind of knew a few of them, but of course I didn't know all of them. And but they would send me to these random projects that would have completely different products that I've never worked on. Right. So what I have to do is I would get a call on Friday night saying I need to be at a customer side in probably some other country by Monday morning, and then there's somebody leaving that project, so you need to go and on that. And this is usually on a product that I've like no idea about. So what I usually do in those cases, what I did was obviously, along with preparing for the travel and stuff, I would immediately start preparing, learning about that product that I have no idea about. In a couple of days, or sitting through the flight, whatever, I would learn about the absolute basics that are needed for me to have that to get through the first day, right? So you basically take one step at a time. So just understand the basic, what that product does, what's it, how it's set up, what problems does it solve, and what are some of the key terms that you need to remember, so that even if the customer tells you something, you're not like left wondering. You don't want to show that you have no idea, right? So you learn the basics, absolute basics, to get through the first day. And then as soon as I'm back to the hotel the first day, I would then sit through and learn about what I need to do to get through the second day. Like in the first day, I would get an idea. This is where things are. This is the basic knowledge that I need to learn. And so I would do that every day for 5 days. And by then I would have gained at least enough knowledge to get through the second week. And then I just kept doing that. But the thing is, that compounds, right? So by the end of a few weeks, you're almost ready with all the knowledge that you need. But then from there on, it's really just managing the customer, managing the expectations, and just continuous learning from there on until you become an expert. And usually the best way to learn is to learn by doing. So and I think just being in a kind of that pressured situation where you are working at where you're like put into a project and there's just no other way for you other than to just perform in front of a customer, a real customer, supporting them. I think that's probably one of the best ways to learn. That's on the job, right? And so now you have no other choice to learn. So I mean, I think that's another thing that I would recommend. Pick topics that are more relevant to the work that you do now currently in your job, right? So if you had to prioritize, if there are so many things to learn, I would prioritize things that would solve your immediate problem, which is probably at your current work.
That impact your daily job. Yeah, so that's like, I mean, if I were to summarize this, so don't try to master all the tools. You will end up overwhelmed yourself. So try to get a certain level of expertise in one tool each area, like one for CI/CD, one for monitoring, one for infrastructure as a code, and so on. And then prioritize your work, prioritize your learning, like whatever you're doing. If it impacts your day-to-day job, then that should be your high priority item. And of course, the example that you gave continuous learning is the key. You have to keep yourself up to date. You have to keep evolving from one phase to another and keep learning like whatever is coming your way. But that was a difficult situation to be in, like putting yourself out there in front of a customer on a product that you have no idea about. So
Yeah.
that's seriously something, and like situations like these teaches a lot, not just in professional life but personal life, like how to overcome the challenges when you're not even sure what are you facing. It's just
Yeah.
in front of you and you were not prepared, but then with the help of your consistency, you show up daily, you learn one thing at a time, and you overcome it. So yeah, that was really a perfect example of how to tackle such situations. So let's address the elephant in the room, AI. So what do you think is the impact of AI on DevOps? Many people are afraid because when uh, disruptions like these happens, especially within the IT industry, uh, along with it, it comes a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety that if AI is gonna take over all the jobs, if AI agents and AI tools will be doing all the work, then what are we going to do? And if there is no work for us, what is the point of upskilling? What is the point of learning DevOps? So, what are your views on that? How impactful would that be when it comes to our jobs?
Yeah. Very, very good question. I think definitely we're all kind of excited and worried about AI at the same time, right? We're excited about the possibilities that it brings, but at the same time, we're also worried about ourselves, right? What are we going to get outdated, and what do we do? And I think one of the analogies that I can draw for AI with something that's already kind of happened to us in the past is really, uh, calculators, right? So what were they invented? Maybe 100, close to 100 years ago, or around that time, right? So what did calculators do? So calculators like put the power of math in the hands of like normal people, right? Like imagine the world like before calculators. There were a lot of like really, really good mathematicians who I'm sure were like paid like really, really um, high because they were like these math geniuses, almost like walking calculators. And normal people, others weren't as good with math, uh, you know, um, as the others, and probably didn't have that many opportunities. But with calculators, you now no longer needed those like really, really good like walking calculators. So when calculators came, they probably lost their charm. And then everyone, like people, were able to do complex math operations just with their hands, right, in their homes.
Yep.
Now that that kind of changed the world. Like I think it changed this whole industries, and probably that then evolved into computers, and we don't need to say like how the world has changed since. Probably it was all of these inventions where is what kind of in the past couple of hundred in the past 100 year or so had this like really drastic change in this world. And as much change, more than like thousands of years combined, is what people say, right? Like what the change that's happened in the past 100 year. So now the other side of thing is, calculators were there, but that doesn't mean everyone becomes mathematicians, right? Like now people can do addition, subtractions, division, multiplication, but most people don't even know what to do with the remainder of the calculator, right? Like how do you what do you use the other things for, right? Maybe percentages max, but
Yeah.
summations and the whole sine and cos and log and stuff like that. Like most people still don't have an idea. So you still need to be really good at math. You still need to be a mathematician to be able to use calculators efficiently. Having a calculator doesn't mean you become like an accountant, right? You can't go to a firm and say, I have a calculator, and hire me as an accountant. I can do any math with it. You need to be an accountant. You need to know the foundations of accounting. You need to have a master's in accounting. You need to spend that time learning accounting to then use calculator to do your job more efficiently, right? But just having a calculator is not going to make you an accountant. The same goes with being a scientist. Like you can't just say I have a calculator, I can do sine, cos, and all of those complex math, and hire me as a scientist. No, like it doesn't work that way. You need to spend enough time learning to become a scientist to then use a calculator to do your job more efficiently.
Yeah.
So as a lot of people have been saying, it's not AI that's going to replace you. It's people who use AI that are going to replace you. So there is a need for all of us to embrace AI, to learn AI, and then make ourselves more efficient. Because what's going to happen is just the speed at which things are iterating are just going to increase very drastically. Like products are just going to come out 10x faster, right?
Yeah.
So if you are an organization, you should be looking at how you can use AI to 10x your the rate at which you produce, with AI. If you don't do that, your competition is going to do that, or someone else is going to do that, and you're going to go out of business. And if you go out of business, everyone under you, all the employees, is going to impact all your employees.
Yeah.
So from the, I guess, the individual perspective, we should be thinking, how can I, as a developer or as a DevOps engineer, how can I use AI to 10x my productivity, right? Which can then help my company produce 10x, which can then help our whole kind of business stay afloat and not, get impacted by competition, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, personally, I've been, what I've been doing these days is really go back and learn some of the basics of a lot of things that I didn't want to learn in the past, or I just thought would be too hard to learn in the past, like even just basic web development or basic app iOS app development and stuff like that. Because now with AI, just learning like some of the very basics using a 1-hour YouTube video, I can now use AI to actually build things out. In the past, I could watch a video, I would still build it, and then I would still get stuck because there'd be some error or some way that I can't resolve. Then I would have no assistance, and then I would stop pursuing that. But that's completely changed now. Like now you can just learn the basics and then start building stuff with AI. Of course, as you progress, you need to know how to, the basic foundations still remain. Like you have to absolutely know the best practices to be followed. You have to guide the AI in terms of doing things the right way. So you are really like a code reviewer now than a developer, right? So if you're a reviewer who is reviewing AI's work, getting AI to do it, and these are just getting improved day by day, or week by week, and they're just improving at a really fast pace. So now I guess for all of us, what we should be doing is we should be aiming to make ourselves like AI powered, right? Just like how back in the day they improve their efficiency with calculators. Today we have to improve our efficiency, and then I think it's going to have a global impact of like things moving at a very fast pace. Like companies are and products are going to come and go at a much faster pace now than before. Like in the past, if you had a company that produced a product and lived for like 30 years using that, based on that product, now is going to be 3 years, right? Is a new product is going to come out.
Keep innovating. You have to keep evolving at a much faster rate. You have to ship much faster than you used to. So yeah. And all that will be only possible if you embrace AI rather than running from it, away from it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's that. I see it very interesting time to be in, to witness all of the happening in front of us, and the next generation will witness something else. Like the IT that they will see is something else that we could never even imagine, like in our wildest dreams. Okay. So what do you think is the role of a certification the cloud certification, Kubernetes certification, in someone's journey in getting a job or making a career progression or getting a promotion at their job, how important it is, how relevant it is.
Yeah, so we were at KubeCon in Delhi very recently.
Mhm.
Were you there?
No, no,
Did you get a chance
it's out in Canada. So I
Oh, you're based in Canada. Sorry. Okay. So so when we were in KubeCon, we met a lot of our students who came up to us and told us their stories. And one of the interesting patterns that we observed was people getting the CKA certification, and then how exactly that certification helped them get a job or get a better job or get better at their existing job, right? So apparently one of the stories was someone got certified, an HR searched LinkedIn for people who are like CKA certified, and this guy's profile came up, and that's how he was shortlisted and got got the interview and got the job. And we have a lot of similar stories that we were able to that we've captured in while we were there. So I mean, I think generally certifications on really trending technologies at that particular time, and I think these are very important things, right? Like trending technologies, the timing, at that at what stage are you taking that certification, and is that really relevant, really matters. And if you do that, it can definitely have a great impact in, I guess, I think one of the most important thing is getting your resume shortlisted in that first step. It just helps you stand out. I think that's the,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the ultimate benefit of if you just want to, if your question is just like, is the certification worth at all? I think to me, in getting a job, then I would say the direct answer to that is it helps you get conversations, right? It helps you stand out among, if there are 100 people, and if there's like if the HRs have to filter resumes, then they do some crazy things at times to really figure out, like, out of the 100, how do you identify? So it's no longer about just reviewing the resume in detail or anything. Sometimes when there are too many applications, they start applying these algorithms on the resumes to say, okay, let's look at people who are certified, let's look at people who have 10 plus years experience, and then all that combination comes in, and then you get kind of your resumes are filtered, right? So in that sense, it helps in getting jobs. But in my opinion, I have a slightly different take on certifications. I wouldn't look at it as a tool to just get a badge and then get shortlisted. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. To me, certifications are a tool to kind of keep you accountable. It is a goal that you aim for, and certifications come with a structured list of curriculum that you have to go through and learn, right? So it kind of forces you to learn all of these things that you might otherwise not learn out of your own interest, right? So most people start learning a technology, they're very interested in the beginning, they learn it for a couple of days, they install it, set it up, get the basic working, and then say, you know what, I've learned enough and I'm going to go do something else, right? Certification will help prevent that. So because you now have to do that, but then you also have to spend 6 months learning all of the other things about that technology, spending hours and hours just going through the labs, getting your hands dirty, doing things in with a goal of ultimately getting certified. So I guess it's that journey. The journey to getting certified is what matters the most, and the use the certification as a tool to just keep you accountable, to go through that journey.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I totally agree with you on this as well, because the way I see certification, it's more of your certified learning path to some technology or some tool rather than just to stand out. Yes, it is definitely, it's gonna help you stand out. But at a certain time, like let's say if I am a working professional who has 10 plus certification already, then adding more certification to the list won't help much with the with the standout of the application, but it will definitely help you with the learning path at that time as well. So no matter how many certifications you keep on adding, it will definitely help you with the learning path, uh, to, as you said, to stay yourself accountable to that learning path. And then you don't have to worry about following hundreds of roadmaps or hundreds of videos about what to learn in a particular technology. You just have to follow an exam guide provided by the certification provider, whether it's CNCF, Linux Foundation, or any cloud provider specific certification. So there is something that is already out there, and you just have to follow the path, learn it, and get your hands dirty with, do the hands-on and everything. So, Mumshad, I've also seen many of your posts about Kubeastronaut certification cohort journey they're running. Can you tell me a bit about it, what it is, and okay, you want to share your screen?
Absolutely. So let me just share my screen and give you a quick idea.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, so Kubestranaut is a Linux Foundation's program that runs that just started, I guess, a few months back or just last year. So Kubernetes has about 5 certifications. So there's the CKA, the Certified Kubernetes Administrator for system administrators. These are for ops folks, right? Operations people, system administrators, SREs, DevOps engineers. And then you have CKAD, which is for application developers. So this is for application developers who are eventually going to deploy their applications on Kubernetes. It's important for them to know the basics of cloud native, basics of containers, basics of what is needed for their application to be deployed on a Kubernetes cluster or in this whole cloud native space. So the applications need to be built in a cloud native way. So that's following the 12-factor app protocols and things like that, so that you don't kind of hard code things in your application. So things like that. So it's very important to know for developers to have a basic idea of ultimately where their application is going to run, so they can keep these things in mind. And then you have the KCNA, which is a theory exam, which is more for a beginner level theory exam. Then you have the CKS for security professionals, and then you have the KCSA, which is also another theory-based. When I say theory, I mean multiple choice question-based exam. So out of all of this, the CKA, CKAD, and CKS are all hands-on exams. So you're spending like 2 hours on your keyboard, on a remote system, doing things on a Kubernetes cluster. You have about 20 questions, about 20 different things that you have to do in that 2 hours. And then if you score, 70% around that mark, then you kind of, you get certified. The 2 others are multiple choice questions, which most people are probably already familiar with. So, and the Kubestranaut program is really, if you complete all of these 5 certifications, you become a Kubestranaut, and you kind of get this Kubestranaut jacket. So let me just share this really quickly. So this is the learning path that we've put together for people, depending on your skills, depending on where you are today. How can you kind of get started in this whole journey, right? So if you know nothing, if you're like an absolute beginner, then I would recommend starting with the Kubernetes for Beginners course. But if you already know the basics of Kubernetes, then you can proceed with the first certification. So the KCNA, the Kubernetes and Cloud Native Associate, is probably the easiest to start with. So if you're an absolute beginner, that's what I would recommend. Then you have the CKA, and then you have the CKAD, and then you have the KCSA, and then you have the CKS. Usually it can take you, if you spend 2 hours every day dedicatedly, consistently learning, then it can take you about 7 months. If you want to be a bit more aggressive, if you can spend at least 4 hours a day, or if you do if you decide to spend the weekends just for learning, then you can probably get all the certifications in about 5 months. If you can be a bit more aggressive, then I would say there are people who have done it in 6 weeks as well, right? Like 6 weeks to 2 months. That's also possible, depending on how aggressive you are. But at the end of it, you basically get this jacket, which is a nice little swag that you can carry around when you're at Kubernetes conferences. It's similar to the AWS Golden Jacket that AWS has, and then you kind of get recognized on the stage during the KubeCon and other events. So
amazing.
Cool. So yeah, just to throw a bit more light on that. Now all of these are not, there's a little bit of an overlap between these um, kind of technologies. So let me see if I just between these certifications. So if you do CKA, you're probably already covered about 60-70% on some of the other certifications. So CKAD and KCNA.
Yeah.
Similarly, if you do CKS, you've already covered like 50% of KCSA. So these are different types of exams. One is a theory-based exam, the other is a hands-on. But apart from that, there is about 50% coverage. So if you're preparing for one, you're already kind of covered in terms of topics, in terms of foundational knowledge on a number of other exams. So you don't have to like fully restart preparation for the other exams. So if you start with one, you're probably already covered um, for the most part for the others as well. And finally, one more thing to show is a leaderboard that we have. So we've started a cohort this year. So cohorts are basically people learning together, people who are like aiming to achieve, to becoming a Kubeastronaut, aiming together, starting their journey together and studying together. So we come together. We have a Discord channel that you can join and learn as a team. We have some of our teaching assistants who are in these channels. We have a leaderboard. So depending on how much you complete, the progress you make, you'll be able to see your progress here on the leaderboard, and then you can compare yourself with others who are in this leaderboard and see where you stand. We have kind of different leaderboards for different certifications. And finally, once you're certified, you can upload your certificates here. And then depending on that, you have this overall roadmap that you can see where your journey is. So where you stand today, and you can compare yourself like with others who are in this leaderboard to see where they are. So just a little bit of healthy competition that we're trying to build to kind of get, keep people accountable to start in this journey.
Okay, that's so amazing. I this is such an amazing initiative that you have started, and I'm sure people have taken advantage of it, and they are actively engaged with the community. But um, I will share all the links that you have shown in the description section, so that if anyone wants to join, if anyone wants to have a look, they can go through it. And about that as well, because many of our learners, these courses, exam courses, certifications are already costly. Do you have any upcoming plan for giving any giveaways for your subscription, or any discount vouchers, anything for our viewers?
Yeah, so we always have discount, like so Linux Foundation runs discounts from time to time, and whenever they do, we kind of announce that through our social media channels. So definitely follow our social media and keep an eye out on these. I think from a voucher perspective, we also run some challenges and cohorts from time to time, through which we can give out some vouchers for CK. So if you are interested in getting yourself any of these certifications, do reach out to us. I think we can have a link on the description below.
Sure.
So let's have a link in the description below where you can participate in the cohort that we are running, and then we give out vouchers from time to time.
Okay, that's amazing. That would be really helpful. And like any such programs for your cloud subscription as well, or anything that you have planned?
Yeah. So for your viewers, Piyush, we're happy to give them, like, if they have never been on a platform before, we're happy to give them a free trial of a few months. So that's something we're happy to do. So
Awesome.
yeah.
And what
if you
to get that?
So if they go to KodeKloud.com/Piyush, and we can show that, we can have a link to that in the description below. So if you go to KodeKloud.com/Piyush, you'll be able to go to a page where you can get a few months of free access to the platform.
That would be amazing. And is there a limit? Okay, maybe because you haven't planned it. So whenever you get, so would there be any limit of the number of applicants, or anyone can? get that.
Not really. Yeah, I think anyone, any of your subscribers should be able to get it.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
That would be so amazing, and I really appreciate your efforts. So thank you so much. And I think this is the right time to end this video. But before that, do you have any advice for the DevOps aspirants or someone who's planning to get into DevOps?
Yeah. So as I was saying before, I think it's a very interesting time. No, both exciting and worrying at the same time. But personally, I'm very excited about all the possibilities that are going to happen in the future. So I think it's very important that we all kind of stay up to date and not get overwhelmed of all the things that are happening. But we stay put. We watch what's happening, and we kind of upskill ourselves and get ourselves ready for whatever is that's going to happen in the future, right? So definitely AI education is of utmost importance. But at the same time, whatever you're doing today, continue to do that, continue to upskill in that area, continue to work hard, and there's really no need to get worried or make decisions in a worried state. That's something I try to avoid as much as I can. So wish everyone a very good start to the new year, and all the success for the rest of the year.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mumshad. It was a delightful discussion with you. And as I've said in the beginning, it was a pleasure for me to have you as a host on this particular podcast video. And I wish we'll have more upcoming collaboration in the future as well. So thank you so much once again. And we'll talk soon then. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Piyush. Yeah.
Thanks.